Welcome, folks. This is Hunting and Fishing the Lakeland. My name is Ken Witchman, and this is our podcast that we're doing. We're doing things a little different today. I need to tie some flies up, so I'm going to do my podcast well. I'm going to tie up a new fly that I just created, as a matter of fact. It's one that I use for pike fishing, as a matter of fact. You probably could use it for anything, but I've been using it for pike fishing, and it's been working pretty good. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to talk about issues that are happening right now around the area. Very interesting stuff this time of year, because a lot of folks are starting to get into the swing of things, whether it's hunting, fishing, bear hunting, for example, or any kind of that stuff. Obviously, off-roading is a big thing, and that's what we're going to start talking this week about. As a matter of fact, around here in the Cold Lake area, we've had something, the May Lake Trail. It is a classic trail system that has been around for decades and decades and decades, and it's a wonderful trail system. It runs used to run through pristine wilderness, as a matter of fact. Great spot to go. You'd go there, you'd see all kinds of wildlife. You'd see, everything from moose to deer to bear to all kinds of birds. You name it, you'd see it on that trip. Over the last few years, it's really been, the word is torn up, and it really has been torn up by basically oil companies in the area that have created a massive highway that at one time it was pristine wilderness in this area. I mean, it was like, it has not been unchanged for hundreds of years. And, it was a great spot to go. And, ATVers would, use it, especially early May would be a traditional time as things thawed out. A lot of folks would be using that trail as a great spot to open up the year ATVing. And it was, like I say, it's been a tradition for, I would say, 3 to 4 decades. And not just with ATVers. Obviously, it was started with the folks in the Jeeps and the 4x4s and all that kind of stuff way back in the 50s, as a matter of fact. And the fishing at those times at May Lake was fantastic. It is still pretty good to this day. Nothing like it was, obviously. I mean, at one time it was a designated trophy water, and you had to buy a special license, excuse me, to go in there and fish. And people did it. And you know why it was trophy? Because it was tough to access. That was the bottom line. I mean, it would be a good day to get in there. And most folks would camp. Once they did get into the lake, they would sit there and camp, which was great. And they'd set up, and so the trail was well established. And over the years, it became a great trail. It was actually groomed at one time and taken care of by the many people that used that trail. As a matter of fact, well, the last 10 years, the oil companies literally have changed that area completely. I mean, it is amazing if you go in there now. Some areas you'll go in there and say you get lost because things have changed so fast. There's pads popping up. The worst thing is the highway that they cut in. It's probably about a 10+ kilometer highway that was once, as I said, pristine wilderness. Now it is basically you can access it with a motorhome if you want. And is that right? Is that wrong? The thing that pisses me off, and a lot of people, is the oil companies want to limit ATV access into this area, yet they'll go in there and tear the road up and all that kind of stuff and build this road right through the middle of pristine muskeg and boreal forest, but they don't want people to use it. I don't think that's right, and I think a lot of people are going to agree with me on this one. Although, I know that there's still your crowd out there that, there's no way they're going to give this up. They're going to do it no matter what, which is good, and I appreciate it that they have that passion. But the problem is, it is basically not right in the sense where they're taking away from the public and using it for big business, essentially, is what's happening. And that's not just oil companies. Right across the province, it's happening when you come to, logging. The list goes on and on and on. So what we're going to do is talk about other areas, too, that are affected by big business and all that kind of stuff. And it's interesting because oil companies hire people they call environmentalists. And it kills me because these guys are supposed to be out there to protect the environment. What they're really doing, they're nothing more than yes men and yes women for the big business and the oil companies. Whatever they want, they do, and that's what happens. And it is quite sad when it does happen, obviously, because who loses here? Obviously, the public loses, and obviously the environment, the animals, and all that kind of stuff. They just do not have a chance to recover once this kind of stuff happens, and it's happening more and more. And I mentioned it in my last podcast, as a matter of fact, how basically public land is being bought up right across North America to the point where a lot of states there is none left, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's being sold off. The states themselves can't afford to operate it anymore. They can't afford policing. They can't afford anything unless they're making money on that piece of land. It is not a priority, and obviously making money is where the big business comes in, and you know they're offering to buy the land for their own whatever they want to do with it, which obviously is, as far as I'm concerned, nothing good. I mean they're hard on stuff basically. You know they're raping the land, stripping the timber, all that kind of good stuff, and it's not right. And as sportsmen, what do we do? What can we do to fight that? I don't know. Like you can write to your MLAs, you can write to your MPs in Ottawa, all that kind of good stuff. That's going to help a little bit, but it's probably not enough. Joining a sportsman's group is a great idea. I'm a big believer in that, just to the fact that a voice in numbers makes a difference. It really does make a difference. So think about that next time you're out there and you want to join, the Alberta Fish and Game Club, or the Alberta Conservation Association. All those people give you that voice out there, and will basically stick up for you in these situations, which is so important nowadays. And the bad thing is, it's not going to stop. It's only going to get worse and worse as the years go by, obviously. So folks, think about that next time you're out in the outdoors and you're looking at turning around a trail and you come across a freshly made pad in the middle of nowhere that wasn't there 6 months ago. And so they're taking it away from you. Remember that when you're in the outdoors. And I know it's probably going to piss a lot of people up or off when I'm talking about this, but sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes the truth has to be spoken, as a matter of fact. So that's what we're doing here. It's so nice not having a noose around my neck anymore, and I can talk about what I want when I want, which is fantastic. Another thing that's been happening in the local area is the city of Cold Lake has been really up in arms. There's been complaints about limiting the people are concerned that there's no access on the lake shores anymore. Private property is infringing on public property. As a matter of fact, there's boat launches is the big question. And you think about it, they don't own the lakeshore. You live on the lakeshore, that's a great thing, obviously, and a great place to live, but do you really own the lakeshore? And you don't. There is laws that say there's only so much area that you can basically own. There is a high water line, so think about that. A little dry in here today. Think about that too. And Cold Lake is really starting to get hard on these landowners. They are basically saying, you cannot do this anymore. You're going to have to allow public access to what was their boat launches, and many of these people have had them for years and years and years, and I know many of them, and great folks, and beautiful locations that they do have. The problem is, a couple people complain, and then look out, you have a major problem, because obviously they're looking at it, and they're looking at it seriously. Marie Lake is a prime example about this. I mean, Marie Lake is one of the actually worst examples you can have. There's so many private boat launches on a couple of shorelines in that lake, and people don't even live on the lake. That is the really bad thing about this. They live quite a ways from the lake, as a matter of fact, but they'll bring their boats down there and set them up on their lifts right on the lakeshore, and limit, they're not limiting public access, but I'll guarantee you one thing: you show up there and go park your boat by one of these things and expect to have a wiener roast, they would probably try and say, you know what, this is my area, my property, you got to go. The bottom line is, you don't have to go. It is not their property. And this is going to open up a big can of worms here. And it's something to think about, because for years it's just been commonplace in Alberta that you can do this, not just in Cold Lake and Marie Lake, but right across the province. This has been happening, and Pigeon Lake, Gull Lake, you name it, Lac St. Anne, all of these lakes have the same issue. And you know what? It's not right. The public should have access to these waters, no matter what a person might think that he owns the lake shore. Because you know what? You don't. I'm working on this fly. It's looking pretty good. This is one of my favorite pike flies, as a matter of fact. I haven't named it yet. If you have any ideas what this beauty could be called, drop it onto the Facebook page, and I'm very happy with all the response that I have been getting on the Facebook page, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I appreciate it all. You know what? I just like it so much that people are listening, and people do care about what the issues that I talk about. And you know what? Thank you so much for all the response that you're getting. Send me in, drop me a line, let me know what you call this fly. A beautiful pink fly like that. I know people don't think pink works, but try it. Pink works great for catching big fish. Folks, my name is Ken Richpin. This is Fish and Hunt Lakeland podcast. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a couple days or so with another one. Hope you enjoyed them. I enjoy all the feedback I get, like I say, and let me know what you think.